first ever live show on YouTube, coming at you with the three of us here. I do not have a camera set up, so I will not be behind the camera. But as you can see, my boy Big John and Jose got the cameras up, looking good, ready to roll, ready to talk some college ball. And once again, did not disappoint. So we got a lot that we want to get into. So we hope you enjoy the first ever live show. We appreciate you tuning in with us. Hope you have a good time with it like we do. And we're just going to go into it like normal, man. So big weekend this weekend in college football. Some big teams get dropped, catch a loss, and some other teams I feel like get a reality check. So we're going to dive right into it. First one of the day that kind of all broke our hearts was Alabama going to Tennessee and getting beat. Tennessee ends up winning the game. Now, if Tennessee had any sort of offense at all, especially in that first quarter, then the score is a lot different than what it actually is. But still, they get the job done at home, get a big win against Alabama. I think their second straight at home against Alabama, if I'm not mistaken about that. So we were all in Alabama as far as betting wise, because in all reality, they should have won. Their offense struggled bad, boys, and I mean bad. What was y'all's initial thoughts on the game? I know we were all talking about it actively in the group chat, and we were all pretty pissed off. So I kind of got a feeling about it. But tell everybody kind of what your thoughts were going through during that game.
Real quick, let me just start off by giving a shout out to Kennesaw State because they're about to beat Liberty.
They are.
Ever FBS
they are.
They're 22.5-point dogs. I know that's John's team. I know John's been kind of hesitant on them this year given their defense. In no way should Liberty ever lose to Kennesaw State, but they're about
to.
They're about to. So, yeah.
And Davis Bryson, 60 for 20, 200 yards, 1 TD. Kennesaw State quarterback. This team was 0-6. And they looked horrible.
Bad.
They scored 5 points last week. But here they are. So that's the beauty of college football. But back to that game real quick. To me, this said more about Alabama than it did Tennessee. Tennessee won the game the way we thought. If they were going to win the game, it went the way it pretty much had to for them. They had to win with the defensive line, which it seemed like they were pressuring Milroe on almost every dropback. And they had to hit big plays. They had to utilize Dylan Sampson, and they did. I forget off the top of my head how many rushing yards he had, but it seemed like he was heavily utilized in that game. Honestly, in the second quarter, I kind of told myself Tennessee's probably going to win this game because Alabama had every chance to pull away, in the first quarter, second quarter, right, the first half really, and they never did. So the longer Tennessee hung around, I just told myself at some point they're going to convert some of these offensive drives, and credit to Heupel, credit to Tennessee, I guess the offense, Nico. I guess the jury's still out on him. I'm not fully convinced, but I took more away from Alabama in that game. Just offensive line couldn't get any push. We were concerned about that. And going forward, I think that's going to play a big part in the handicap on a week-to-week basis for Alabama. Just how well is our offensive line going to play? How good is the defensive line they're going to go up against? And Jalen Milroe, I've seen some drafts where this guy's the first pick in the draft. No way this guy's the first pick in the draft.
Absolutely not.
He can't throw the ball. Unless it's a streak, unless it's a 9 route, then yeah, he'll hit it for some reason, which goes, completely opposite of what traditionally, you would get out of a quarterback where you can hit, the low mid-range and short game. But, for him, it's the exact opposite. He can hit long passes. Anything short, anything between under 10 yards, he can't do it. And I think Tennessee challenged him. I think Tennessee decided we're not going to give him anything long. Everything's got to be short. We're going to cover Ryan Williams. Tennessee secondary played really, really well. So kudos to them. I'm really impressed with, Tennessee there, but to me, that said more about Alabama.
Yeah, Tennessee's front seven played really well, got a lot of pressure, and Milroe was just awful inaccurate. It was really bad. It was tough to watch. Tennessee, their offense was still struggling as well. So I don't know. Even though I bet Alabama, I mean, it is kind of a win for me here because now I do have that Tennessee ticket and to make the playoffs. And I think they're 68% chance to make the playoffs now because they still got to beat Vanderbilt, which isn't going to be a walk in the park. They got Georgia. They could lose against Georgia and still get in. So, it sucks Alabama lost, but it helps me because I had the Tennessee futures ticket. So.
Hey,
Now,
these
the one
home
thing
dogs this year have been cashing, guys. Like,
they have been,
Tennessee
dude.
at
Yeah.
home, Oregon at home, Bama
Yeah.
at home against Georgia.
LSU at home a couple weeks
LSU
ago.
at
It's
home
Ole
against
Miss,
Ole
cash.
Miss. If
Yeah.
if it's a home dog this year, you kind of want to run with it.
Yeah, they're all cashing. Spencer in the chat says Vandy gets the dub this week. No, they do not. But I do see a lot of people betting on them to cover though. And Texas does have to go to Vanderbilt, which I know is not much of a deal, but at the same time, they are 18.5-point dogs. So you never know
Yeah.
with Vanderbilt.
But if you're gonna bet Vanderbilt, you have to do it as an underdog. You can't do it as a favorite, right? We've seen them
Yeah,
twice as a
absolutely
favorite
not.
against
Yeah.
Ball State, and we've seen them do it against Georgia State.
Georgia State.
know?
The only time I bet Vanderbilt this year is when they played Georgia State and lost.
Yeah.
So
So if you're gonna back them, it's gotta be, what were you saying, Tyler? Is the video's not working or something? What did you
yeah,
say?
on the stream on YouTube, it's just the audio, it's not the
Okay.
camera. So I'm trying to figure it out. But they can at least hear us, so we'll roll with that and keep it going for now. But
Yeah, we'll keep rolling for now.
how about Georgia going there and beating the shit up out of some Texas Longhorns, dude? Like defense showed up, showed out, and this is what we talked about. Same thing with the Tennessee Alabama game. Was Tennessee's what could give them an advantage in that game was their front seven. Getting to Milroe and getting some pressure on Alabama because Alabama's got some serious problems. Some serious problems up front. Look, Georgia showed up. Boys, Texas finally got their real test as far as teams that they've played. They haven't played nobody, at any point in this year. You can't really count the Michigan game as a good win because Michigan's terrible. You can't really count the Oklahoma game as a good win. They just got absolutely shit on by South Carolina, and they haven't been very good. So, this was their very first big test, and they figured out. I do expect them to bounce back. I think they'll be okay, but they got their first real test of the year. So I know we were all on Georgia pretty heavy. John, I'll let you kind of take over from there. What were your thoughts about this game?
I'm proud of my dogs. This is the defense I was expecting to show up, right? This is a Georgia defense that we're kind of used to. Even though Beck had 3 turnovers, one of them, the penalty and the bottles.
The penalties were terrible, dude.
Well,
terrible.
and the bottles on the
John.
field.
Can you talk about that? I want to hear from 1 to 10. How pissed were you? And that's.
I was pretty mad. I was pretty mad. I was up to a 9. I was ripping it in the chat, man. I was mad. Because that, first of all, that would never be that would have never been reversed if the bottles didn't go on the field, right? Because there was a stop and play, which gave the refs time to look at the play. Secondly, that's an irreversible call. That is not a reviewable call that you can go and overturn, regardless if it was a bad call or not. They made that call, and it should have never happened either way. And even Kirby let them have it after the game, right? And he did not care. He said they tried to take the game from us. So, but other than that, Georgia dominated this game, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They played really well. So I'm really proud of that. I would like to see some more consistency out of Beck. I know they also got him towards the top of the draft boards. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. I still would probably put Shedeur over him. But I don't know. I'm just really proud. This is the defense that I was expecting to show up, right? And Trevor Etienne, I thought he played really well. I still feel like we need a receiver or two to step up if we're going to, really make a push personally. But, I think, Georgia, they don't really have much left to play other than at Ole Miss, and we'll have to see what type of Ole Miss team shows up. So, but regardless, even if Georgia lost to Ole Miss, they would still get in at this point with 2 losses. So, Jose, what do you think?
I think that week, 14 game, whatever last week of the season is, when Texas has to go to Texas A&M, that may be a playing game, to get into the playoffs at this point, because how many SEC teams do we think are actually going to get in? I know Texas probably still is comfortably in right now, but if they lose that game against A&M, they're not going to make, the SEC championship game, and, their season's probably going to be on the line at that game. So, Georgia, massive win for them. They needed it. They got it. I know the score was 30-15. It wasn't that close. No. Georgia was far and away the best team here.
Yeah.
I know Texas came back towards the end, but it really wasn't as close as the scoreline makes it out. The box score makes it out to be, guys. Really impressed with Georgia. You guys kind of talked me into it in the podcast. I was kind of leaning towards Texas, but I wasn't really convinced. We talked about it. Texas hadn't played nobody. They hadn't played anybody. And I went back and I looked at our predictions for the CFP back like week 0, week 1. and none of us had Texas in it. And up until last week, I thought to myself, like, that was a horrible call. Like, Texas is far and away the best team in the country. But now that we see them play actual competition, I'm starting to think Texas. I mean, they have a long road ahead of them, guys. They may not make the CFP, which would be a disaster season for them. But I'm starting to envision a scenario where Texas doesn't make it. And, I didn't think this game was going to have, this big of a magnitude, like the aftermath of it. But, here we are. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, Texas really needed that game. Georgia needed it too. But Texas really needed that one also, because if they don't get A&M, they're not going to make the CFP. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how many more times we see that like stoppage of play where students or fans or whatever throwing shit out on the field. And
Like,
first of all,
the thing
you
is
should
that-
never see that.
well, yeah, I
Is
agree.
that, was the call correct? Like, when they changed the call, was that the correct call? I think it was, to be honest with you. I was on Georgia. I don't think that was pass interference, but you can't set the precedent of changing calls.
Yeah.
Mhm.
After 15, 20 minutes of a delay, just given the based on the fact that students were throwing shit on the field. So yeah, it's a horrible
Yeah.
precedent to set.
It wasn't pass interference. You're right. I mean, I'm with you guys, but regardless, the refs made that call, and if you're going to reverse that call for Texas, you got to reverse that call for everyone. Now you have to make that a reviewable call if you're going to do that. So, I don't know. It should have never happened, regardless. But either way, Georgia dominated that game. So.
Yeah, they did through and through. LSU going to Fayetteville. We were at this game, and some buddies, Spencer in the chat here. We were at this game. Now, thanks to my boy Spencer here, we only got to enjoy about a half of it, but we did get to go to this game.
You didn't miss much.
We did not miss anything. That's the good thing about it, is Arkansas just through and through got dominated. I mean, from the very get-go, they were getting pressure on us. Taylor was running for his life. We did have some decent plays, where we could pick some yardage up and move the ball a little bit, but they absolutely shut the run game down. We were not able to run the ball. We were not able to play our game. I was really disappointed in our defense in the same time, because our defense is really what has been helping Arkansas's team out, and that's really what the big deciding factor was for us in the Tennessee game at home, was the defense. Defense played as great of a game as we could possibly play. We had virtually no pass rush. Will Campbell absolutely just strapped Landon Jackson down there on the edge. And I mean, he was just not a factor in this game at all. We were playing a lot of soft coverage on the edges on Kyron Lacy, of all people. Like, every time I would look out there on the field, our corners lined up 10 yards off the field off of Kyron Lacy out there, one-on-one situation, no safety over the top. And it was a simple 6-7 yard hitch, get the ball out on time before the receiver turns around, catches it, turns around, get, 7, 8, 9, 10 first, 10 yards, get a first down. And it was automatic. Like, they just did what they wanted to with us. Fair and simple. I mean, we looked like shit. We didn't play very well. We couldn't tackle worth a damn. Ran the ball down our throats. We couldn't run the ball. If I remember correctly, it was either, I think, in the first quarter, or maybe like part of the way through the second quarter, the time of possession for LSU was like 13 minutes, and Arkansas had the ball 3. I mean, defense could not get off the field. Arkansas couldn't put anything together. 3 and outs, punt the ball. Defense was on the field virtually the entire first half, and couldn't do anything about it. So it was just tough scene, especially for the first game to go to in person and see it in person. But also at the same time, we said it when we did the Arkansas preview. That's what Arkansas does. They pull out a ridiculous upset against somebody, and then they get their ass whooped by UAB or something. That's just what Arkansas does. So, but with that win, LSU's hanging around. LSU's still in the conversation without a doubt. They're playing some good ball right now. I believe they go to A&M this weekend, so that's going to be a massive game for both teams. Hopefully A&M pulls it out, because I know I've got a ticket on it. Jose, you've got a ticket on it. And we'll get to that game here in a little bit. But what do y'all kind of think of LSU right now?
They got a real shot to make it. I think if they beat A&M and they don't lose any other game, they're probably going to get in. I think they have A&M and Bama on their schedule left as far as like marquee games. Yeah, if they win one of those 2 games, they're probably going to get in, to be honest with you. I checked their odds to make the CFP before we recorded. They were plus 105. So, I mean, it's nearly a straight pick on whether or not they're going to get in. That's a good bet, to be honest with you. I think this team is really talented. You talked about Kyron Lacy. What I'm really impressed with is the run game. Like, they've committed to the run game. They found some running backs they can really rely on. And if they can help Nussmeier even a little bit, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I mean, I know Brian in the chat has a long-standing vendetta against Brian Kelly. I don't blame him, but at the end of the day, Brian Kelly's a pretty good coach. So I trust him in these scenarios. As long as LSU takes this week or against Bama, and they get Bama off a bye, by the way. I think it's in Death Valley too. They should be in. So, yeah, if you're a fan of LSU, you guys should have a very fun end to this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. They're at A&M this weekend, then they get a bye, and then they get Alabama at home.
Yeah, so
So that's a real chance. I mean, especially with the way Bama looked last week at Tennessee, you get, Death Valley I'm assuming it's going to be at night. I don't think it's been, the time has been released, but I'm assuming that's probably going to be a night game in Death Valley. Yeah, I got to be. That's automatically going to give, a couple points to LSU.
Did game day go to LSU at Death Valley this year or not yet? Because they'll probably go to that game.
Not yet, I don't think. Because week 1 was Michigan, Texas. And then
they didn't go during the LSU Ole Miss game.
They didn't. No, they didn't. That was the Oregon, or was that the Oregon Ohio State?
Either one, they went to one of those instead. So yeah, and then they didn't go to that game.
Yeah, so that'll probably be a game day game in Death Valley at nighttime. They've got a real chance to win that game. Then they got to go to Florida. They get Vandy at home and Oklahoma at home. So they play, their next 2 games. They got 3 road games of their next 5. One of them being Florida and Texas A&M this weekend. So their road schedule, other than this weekend, really favors them with what they got coming up, and then they got some home games that they could definitely win. So there's a very solid chance that they win out and make the college football playoff after a shaky start and a loss week 1, or I guess week 0 to USC there in Vegas. So how about Curt Cignetti, boys? Hey, the city's got that train rolling. There's a legit chance that them boys wipe the table going here on out. Now, I know Curtis Rourke is not playing this weekend from what I understood. Had surgery on his hand from an injury from last weekend. So what I saw earlier, though, I read a report was, the backup that ended up coming in was still, I think, like 7 of 8 for around 100 yards and a touchdown. So I didn't watch any of the game. I can't sit here and tell you passed the eye test or not, but at least from a statistical standpoint, he looked fine, looked like he could handle his business. They got that train rolling, boys. And it's crazy. I think this is a classic example of NIL and transfer portal being put to use. This makes it open for everybody. So what's y'all's thoughts on Indiana going forward? Legit chance to make the college football playoff. Let me just rattle off the schedule real quick. They got Washington at home this weekend. Then they get a bye. No, they don't. They play at Michigan State. And then they get Michigan at home. And then they get a bye. They go to Ohio State and Purdue at home. There's a solid chance their only loss is at Ohio State. They have 1 loss going into the Big Ten Championship. There's a chance they could play for the Big Ten Championship. Now, I assume it's probably going to be an Ohio State-Oregon rematch. But Indiana has a legit chance. So I want to know what y'all's opinion is on Indiana going forward.
I think they're legit. I know Jose was on them at the beginning of the year. He kind of talked us into them, right? But they're a strong defensive team, strong on offense. Curtis Rourke's, thrown himself into the Heisman race. They are legit. What's crazy to me is ESPN has them at like 45% chance to make the playoffs. They're not even above that 50% mark. So, and the only game I have them losing would be Ohio State. So, I don't know. It'll be tough. Without Curtis this weekend at Washington, that'll be a tough game. If they drop that and Ohio State, I don't know if they would actually get in or not. But I don't know. What do you think, Jose?
I'm curious to get your guys' opinion on this. Let's say Indiana goes 11-1, right? They lose to Ohio State. They don't make the Big Ten championship game. Would they get in over a 2-loss Alabama?
I would say so. Yeah. The way that they beat teams, the way that they played this year, the way they beat teams, they've been pretty dominant, in my opinion. And it would also depend it could depend on how close they play Ohio State, right? Like if Ohio State just blows them out, then I don't know. It could be tough, right? But if it's let's say it's like a 31-28 game, 31-24, then I wouldn't have any question if that was their only loss.
Yeah. And it's also going to come down to that Alabama LSU game too.
Yeah.
If Alabama is able to get the win there in LSU, and LSU, hasn't lost till then,
Right.
then that'd
That's
be
what
tough.
I'm saying.
But
Like I'm gonna rattle off a few teams here. You guys tell me who would you put Indiana over this team? So a 2-loss Bama. Who would you guys put in that scenario? Indiana or Bama?
Indiana.
yeah, I think Indiana. Yeah.
Indiana with 1 loss, right?
Yeah, Indiana with 1 loss.
Yeah. Indiana.
Can you imagine in 2024 in Indiana, who's your team is gonna get in over Alabama?
Yeah. After
Like, that's
sucking bad.
That's where we're at. Okay, so Indiana or a 2-loss Notre Dame?
Indiana.
Let's say
Indiana.
The Northern Illinois loss is too tough.
Is
It's
really bad.
Too much for Notre Dame, and also not having a conference championship.
And that means that Notre Dame is going to lose a game
To
to
Navy
either
or Army
Navy,
or
Army,
USC.
USC. So
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
say Indiana.
So here's where I think it gets interesting, okay? Because this is a very real scenario, and I think both these teams are going to be in the same boat at the end of the year, potentially. Who gets in? A 1-loss Indiana or a 1-loss Penn State, assuming they both lose to Ohio State?
Penn State.
Yeah, I would say
Because Penn State really hasn't beat anybody, guys.
Yeah.
Like Indiana and Penn State play this, a similar schedule. Like let's say Penn State gets blown out by Ohio State, but Indiana keeps it close. Do you guys still think that Indiana can get in over them, or do you think just by name value, just by how we perceive it, Penn State to be, they're going to get in regardless?
I think the name value of Penn State will honestly put them in, and I know that sounds crazy, and
No, that's a real thing.
It is.
it is a real thing. I mean, yeah,
That's why I think a 2-loss Texas is going to have a great chance to get in just because of the name. But
and
I don't know,
Ohio State going to Penn State, that's going to be a wild game, and I don't know if Ohio State will pull that game out. We'll see.
Your boy Spencer asked us, do we think Indiana can beat Bama? I think they could. I'm not saying they are, but I think they could. Like, again, crazy. But, yeah, there's a very real scenario. I mean, if they played, I would imagine the spread would be what? On a neutral field, Indiana plus 7?
I would say surely no more than a touchdown.
I would say
With the
7
way
or
that
less,
how they're playing right
somewhere
now.
around there.
Yeah. Matt in the chat says, what do we think about Army? They're going crazy.
QB's going wild right now.
Yeah, Army is going crazy. I personally believe Navy is the better team.
I think Navy's better.
And that Army-Navy game is going to be huge, especially if one of them knocks off Notre Dame, right? So I don't know. I personally have Navy a little bit better than Army, especially on the offensive side of ball. But
especially because Navy can throw the pill around too.
From a power ranking perspective, I think we agree we have Navy higher than Army.
Yeah.
But with Navy and Army, I will say they each control their own destiny. Like if any one of them wins out, they're gonna get in.
Oh, without a doubt.
Porch says Indiana to the Natty.
Yeah, I never in a million years would think that the Army-Navy game at the end of the year would have playoff implications.
And
Like,
remember,
honestly though, and it's legit.
Guys, remember the Army-Navy game is after the college football bracket releases, so they still have to figure out what they're going to do here if both these teams are undefeated, right? They're going to have to push the bracket back.
Well, either that or they're just going to flat out say the winner of this game is the 12 seed.
Yeah.
Like they're going to say when they reveal the bracket, it's going to be the 5 seed versus winner of Army-Navy.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a scenario. Say Army-Navy both went out. And it comes down to that last game until they play each other, right? Until they play each other. And Boise, their only loss is that Oregon loss. Who gets in?
Boise's in. Boise's
over undefeated. Over undefeated, either Navy or Army.
Well, me personally, I think they would both get in. But if the committee has set the precedent last year that they're gonna take what they perceive to be the better team over just like when they chose Alabama over Florida State last year, which was the right decision. They pretty much said to we are gonna take the team that we think is better. That's the better team right now. I mean, no disrespect to Army and Navy, right? But Boise State, from the eye test, let's just be honest, they're the better team than both those teams. From a power rating perspective, they are the better team. So unless Boise State loses this week, they're going to get in. I can't imagine a scenario where they don't get in at this point if they win out.
This is their biggest game, and it's a Friday night game, which is lit.
Keep in mind, and this does matter because I know some people are, pretty ambivalent when it comes to quality losses, but they do exist. And the number one team in the country should have lost to Boise State at home. So that's going to
Yeah.
weigh really heavily in the committee's favor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When it comes to discussing what they're going to do with Boise State, because Boise State should have won that game.
I
Yeah,
agree.
and I'm glad. Like, I don't know, a lot of people were pissed off about the whole Florida State situation, and I know we've talked about it multiple times before from last year, but I'm glad they didn't get in.
No,
Like, I'm glad that
No.
they didn't get in. And like,
Of
even though
course.
Georgia lost in the SEC championship, like, it's like with 4 teams, somebody's going to get left out. I understand it. Like, I mean, it's impossible to, but I mean, if they were going off top 4 best teams, I still think Georgia should be in that conversation as well. Last year, but they did lose an SEC championship. Somebody's going to get left out. It is what it is. So, all right, let's go through. I looked up some betting. At least this is from a betting perspective of coaches who have the best odds and or like who they have listed to get fired so far. And I want y'all to kind of, first of all, I want y'all to guess who y'all think it is near the top of this list for the first coaches to get fired.
Well, the first
It's not
coach has been
It's not
fired.
Billy Napier.
It's
He-
not.
he-
He is
he's
on here,
good.
but he's not the top.
The first coach has been
not-
fired, though. East Carolina
ECU.
fired their head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not on this list though.
Hey,
'Cause he
those are
already has been
your
fired.
ECU Pirates, John. Those are both your guys.
Yeah.
Hey, they started off hot, but boy, did it
And
go
then,
downhill.
and then Oklahoma, they fired their OC, and
Seth Luttrell.
Utah fired their OC this week.
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did do that.
I mean,
So
the
far,
favorite to get fired first, it's not going to be Billy Napier.
a couple of these are kind of tough because they're smaller schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. He is on the list.
Smaller schools, and I'm not. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go bigger schools. As of right now, Dave Aranda is technically third, with behind Ryan Walters at Purdue, number 1 at plus 175, and Trent Dilfer at UAB is the top 2. And then after that, yeah, he's sitting at plus 250 right now to be the second, at least betting wise, head coach fired. Dave Aranda at Baylor right now is at 5-1 to be fired as far as betting odds go. And then right after him is Billy Napier at 6-1.
I don't think Billy
he's
gets
not gonna
fired.
get fired.
Yeah. And then it goes Mike
I think
Norvell
they-
after that. It's the one.
I
He
think
won't
it's
get fired, but he's dancing with the double right now.
Yeah, he is.
Norvell's contract's too big. I mean, they could come up with the money, but his contract's too big. I think at Florida State there's more blame on DJU than anything. That more than Norvell. So I think that Norvell will definitely get one more year, and he's going to have to go get a stud for a quarterback.
They got the money. I mean,
Yeah.
That was one of the more confusing, I guess you want to call it a signing, whatever you want to call it. To me, what have they not seen the tape? Like any tape?
I think that they were just desperate to get a quarterback, and they thought that was probably their best option.
But with the brand and
they
the
were
money they have?
hoping it was their best option, and it didn't work out for them.
Yeah.
Your boy Matt is spot on because that was going to be my answer. I was going to say Sam Pittman.
He is at 16-1 as of right now to be fired.
You want to hear? He will be the first coach fired, but you want to hear a name that I think by the end of the season could be on the hot seat.
Who's that?
Just given where that program is and where they were. I don't know what Sharon Moore's odds are, but
They're at 12-1.
Yeah, okay, that's a
Yeah.
lot lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Wow. Then he's definitely making some waves. Then
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like 50-1.
Yeah. No,
He might be
after
fired, guys,
Yeah.
because the way Michigan. Remember, before Harbaugh got there, Michigan was horrible for the longest time. They don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And with the way Sharon Moore's coaching right now, it looks like they may be on that path right now to be how they were pre-Harbaugh.
Yeah, they're 12. He's 12-1 right now. So is Troy Taylor at Stanford. Is also sitting at 12-1 to get fired. And then after him is Ryan Day at 14-1 to get fired.
Ryan Day won't get fired. He would just move schools.
Yeah, after Ryan Day is Sam Pittman. Brent Venables is at 18-1.
He won't get fired.
I think Venables firing his OC is going to do a little bit.
It
for
will.
him.
Yeah. Neil Brown is after him at 20-1, West Virginia. There's a very solid possibility. I figured that number will be a little lower if you want to keep it above. He's definitely on there. Lincoln Riley is after him at 25-1. Another name that's on here is Mac Brown, 33-1. If you want to place, if you for whatever reason you were to place a bet on that, that's where I'd be putting my money is on Mac Brown. I mean, they've given up, and he's even hitting towards it in his like in his press conferences and stuff. It's like, do y'all even want me to coach this team anymore? Like, he's out the door. Like, there's no
Yeah,
way
but
that he's
what
out
if
in the
what if he voluntary retires?
and he might. That's probably
That
why the
don't-
number is what it is.
they wouldn't pay that
There's
out.
too much respect for Mac Brown for them to fire him.
Yeah, that's
They wouldn't
probably
pay that
why
out. Yeah, because
the number is what it is.
Yeah.
But this is his last year. After this season, he's done. And then after that is Jerome Brown at Michigan, 40-1. Well, he's not even on a contract, is he?
Wait a minute. You just told me he was 12-1.
Yeah, I thought he was 12-1.
Oh, no. I keep getting them mixed up. Deshaun Foster, UCLA is 12-1.
Okay, I was shocked when you told me.
Yeah. No, he's
Jerome
40
Moore was
to
12-1.
no 40 to 1. 41.
Oh,
I got him
okay.
backwards.
Yeah, I like that bet. I would rather bet that.
Yeah, is he's not even on a contract, is he?
I think he is now.
He is. He signed a contract. Yeah,
For how long?
a year.
So this year?
I think so. I think it's just a year.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a good possibility because they stink, boys. I'm gonna tell you, they're not doing very good. All right, let's get into some games this weekend. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's start with the big ball game Friday night. If you're not watching this game on Friday night, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Boise goes to UNLV. This line opened up as Boise has 2.5-point favorites on BetOnline. As of a couple hours ago, it was at a flat 3. The over-under for this game is 64 total points, and the money line for UNLV to win this game is sitting at 145. So, Jose, we'll let you take over from here. What do you think is going to happen in this game if you got to play? I feel like we have to bet this game. So, just off principle, what are you going to play?
So I think your casual fan will look at like Georgia, Bama, and Georgia, Texas, even like Bama, Tennessee as like the big games of the season, right? But for us diehard fans who've been following the sport for a long time, this is a massive game. Like this may be the biggest game of the season, right? We've been looking forward to this game all in the offseason. Boise State at UNLV. It's going to take place in Vegas. For what it's worth, I don't expect it to be like a tremendous amount of UNLV fans there. I think there should be a pretty large contingent of Boise State fans. So if you're expecting like some crazy home field advantage, I don't think you're going to get that. I think that's kind of noted by the fact that Boise State's favored on the road by 3. I want to say this line jumped up to 3.5 for a little bit, then it came back down. So it's some movement there. I talked about it earlier. I think Boise State probably has more pressure in this game because they do control their own destiny. Like if they win this game and win out, they're in. There's no questions about it. They're going to be in the CFP. If UNLV wins this game, I think they're going to have a strong argument, but it would still be reliant on like Army, Navy, those teams obviously losing. So it's a massive game, but I think the pressure is a little bit more on Boise State here. I went back and forth in this game because on Monday night I broke this game down and I thought to myself, oh yeah, I'm taking Boise. And then yesterday I thought about it some more and I was doing some more research and I thought to myself, man, maybe I should take UNLV, the home dogs, right? We've talked about how the home dogs have been covering this year at a crazy rate, like in these massive games. So that kind of played into my mind. My gut tells me though Boise State's going to cover this game because I look at the way they've handled players similar to what Boise. I'm sorry. I look at the way they've handled offenses similar to what UNLV is going to bring to the table, right? Brian Marion, their offensive coordinators, noted or pretty notable for running that go-go offense under Barry Odom there at UNLV, and it's caused a lot of the offense's problems. But I looked at who Boise State has played so far this season that are going to represent similar similar skill sets to what UNLV is going to bring, and it's kind of brings me to this Wazoo game they played week 4 or 5 it was this season. Wazoo's offense shares a lot of similarities to what UNLV is going to bring to the table, guys. Wazoo's quarterback John Mateer is really comparable to what Hajj-Malik Williams is going to do on the offensive side of the ball because he likes to utilize his legs, likes to move around the pocket. That's what UNLV's been doing this season, whether it's been Sluka to start the season or Hajj-Malik Williams. They like to utilize their legs. And for what it's worth in that game, John Mateer had 20 rushes, 28 yards against Boise State. So Boise State pretty much said, you know what, we're going to stop your quarterback run and make you beat him with his arm. Now, Mateer did have a good game throwing, but taking away the quarterback run is such a massive part of Wazoo's offense. And I think if they can replicate that defensive scheme here against UNLV, then that's going to be massive. Now, the reason I was kind of teetering on this game is because Boise State, at least this season, has been blitzing like crazy. They are sending a lot of players on third down, third and medium, third and long. They are sending the house. They love to try and rack up sacks in this game, and they've been getting home. But when they don't get home, they're susceptible to big plays. Now, no disrespect to anybody that Boise State's played so far other than Oregon, but nobody has a player like Ricky White for UNLV. So UNLV has a player on the offensive side of the ball, the wide receiver, who has the capability of winning one-on-one coverage, because that's what Boise State kind of relies on in these third and medium, third and long sets. If Ricky White, can beat whatever corner Boise State has lined up on him, I think that's going to be a massive, massive problem for Boise State in this game, because Haj Malik Williams is a good player. Like, he's probably better than Matthew Sluka. I'm still not sure why he wasn't started the season. So a lot of back and forth. To me, it's going to come down to really how well does Haj Malik Williams utilize his legs here. Again, I'm just going off what I saw against Wazoo. They took away John Mateer. If they could take away Haj Malik Williams' running game, I think Boise State covers on the road. I think they're the better. Obviously, they're the better team in terms of talent. Ashton Jeanty, not going to go too deep in that one. UNLV's run defense, for what it's worth, is graded out pretty poorly, so we should have a field day. If you're UNLV, I think you just have to concede the fact that Jeanty's going to get 200 yards in this game, right? 2 touchdowns. That's just how it's going to be. I don't think they're going to come up with a game plan to slow him down all of a sudden. Oregon couldn't do it. I don't think UNLV is going to do it. So really, really hard game to pick here. I'm going to trust Jeanty. I'm going to trust Maddox Madsen at quarterback for Boise State. And for what it's worth, he's also played pretty fine this season. 1,200 yards, 12 TDs, 2 picks. Again, massive game. But I've seen Boise State go up against similar teams already, and they handled them pretty well. UNLV, if they can't get the ground game going with Haj Malik Williams, I think it's going to be a tough night for them. So I'll back Boise State here. Don't really want to do it, mainly just because of how the consistency or the rate at which home dogs have been covering. But I'm going to back them in this game, which should be a massively entertaining game for us on Friday night. So yeah, I'll back the Broncos -3.
John, where are you going with this game?
Boise State, I am slightly worried about their defense. They have had some. I look at that first game of the year. They played against like Georgia Southern, or I believe. I'm slightly worried about the defensive side of the ball, but I think the offense will be too much. I think Jeanty will wear him down. I do lean Boise here as well. Boise -3. This is a big game for Boise. This is kind of like, this is it for them, right? You win this game, you're most likely getting in. So I lean Boise here. I think they're prepared. They're ready to play. They've had this game circled outside of the Oregon game. So I like Boise here, -3.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of with the Indiana deal. Until proven differently, I can't go another way. I just can't do it. Now, if you were to tell me this was a field goal game, either way, I believe you. So that number, I feel like, is pretty spot on. But I mean, like you said, John, I think Boise knows they win this game. It's smooth sailing from here on out. I think they know that. And I think they take that into consideration. They're going to put everything they got into this game because they are exponentially better than everybody they play from after this week from here on out. They're going to be able to handle their business and get in, and they know that is a real possibility for them. And Jeanty knows, there's been a lot of Heisman talk between him and Travis Hunter the past couple of weeks. He knows what's on the line as far as, Heisman when it comes to him.
Now it's Cam Ward.
Cam Ward is up there too. Yeah. But they're not going to take Jeanty out of the conversation. He knows about the Barry Sanders record, and that's definitely a thing for him. If you listen to him talking to other podcasts and other shows, like that's a real thing for him, and he knows it. So that he's going to do absolutely everything that he can do to get there. So until proven differently, I have to go Boise here.
Also want to point out real quick, guys, that I know I talked about Ricky White as a wide receiver. He may be All-America as a special teamer this year. I think he's blocked 3 punts already, and it kind of makes sense because he's like 6'5", runs a 4.4 40. Just line him up on the end of the line and just have him rush the punter, and good things happen. So kind of want to point that out, that if he blocks a punt here, it wouldn't shock me. There's a real chance we see this game in like 2 months in the Mountain West Championship game.
That's a rematch from last year too, isn't it?
Yeah, and Boise
beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, beat the shit out of them. Look, if Boise State doesn't win this game, I'm pretty confident they'll win the rematch. I think UNLV has a lot more, I don't want to say firepower, but they have a deeper playbook, right? They can pull more stuff out of a hat than what Boise State has to offer, right? Boise State's kind of just a ground and pound team. Brian Marion, the offensive coordinator for UNLV, big fan of his. Really exotic with his play calls. I think UNLV will throw the kitchen sink here. because their season depends on it. They can't rely on winning the Mountain West to get in. They have to win this game first. So if you see a lot being thrown at Boise State in this game, and let's just say UNLV wins, be ready to back Boise State in the Mountain West Conference game, because I think everything that they've seen already, everything they're going to see, everything that UNLV can show Boise State, they're going to show them in this game. So it'll be a pretty bare bones playbook if they play again. But yeah, just keep in mind this probably will be a rematch in a few months.
Yeah, because this is the same angle for UNLV too. I mean, their only loss being Syracuse, a 3-point loss at home against Syracuse in overtime, and then Boise's only loss coming at Oregon, number 1 team in the country. So obviously a lot better quality loss than UNLV's. But look, this game's gonna be fireworks, and obviously the over is always a play with these two.
Weren't you guys on Syracuse in that game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they were 6-point dogs.
I had Syracuse money line.
Yeah.
I don't even think I think Syracuse should have won that game going away. I don't think it was I think the game was closer than what the box score indicated.
It was.
In that game.
But also at the same time, UNLV dropped 2 interceptions that I can remember off the top of my head late in the game when they were up, and Syracuse got a giant 4th down to move the stakes and to end up scoring on that drive to take the lead. And he got hit in the backfield. Jalen Catalon shot out like a missile out of the backfield and absolutely smoked Quentin Allen there in the backfield, who ended up staying on his feet and getting the first down. But they did catch some breaks there late in the game, because I know was it Jackson Woodard, linebacker there at UNLV? I know there was 2 that hit him. I'm not kidding you, square in the numbers. I mean, right in the chest. He dropped both of them. They're late in the game. So, but it happens. It's football. They ended up losing. But yeah, this is the same game for UNLV. So absolute fireworks. Let's go down to College Station, where LSU travels to A&M. This line opened up as A&M as 2-point favorites, and as of a couple hours ago, was sitting at 2.5. The over/under for this game is 54, and the money line for LSU sitting at plus 113. Before the past couple of weeks, I would have been hammering A&M. I still want to, because they are at home, but the performance from Connor Wegman last week against Mississippi State kind of really scares me. I'm going to be honest with you. It kind of really worries me a little bit. I'm pretty sure he had 2 interceptions in that game. Now, Mississippi State, they put in their backup quarterback, Shapen, is that his name? Starting quarterback gets hurt, whatever. Backup comes in. He's been toting the pill. I mean, he's been throwing it around the yard. They played Georgia fairly close. I'm not saying Mississippi State's a good team at all, but they're not the Mississippi State of week 2 who got beat by 40 by Toledo. I will say that. And I feel like that is a case for a lot of teams, as far as backup comes in and ends up being ultimately better than the starter, and the team does a lot better. We just talked about UNLV being one of those cases. SMU, Preston Stone gets hit. Kelvin Jennings comes in, and all of a sudden they're scoring 50 a week, like we kind of predicted in their team preview at the beginning of the year. Mississippi State's same equation. So I want to take Notre Dame in this game, A&M in this game. And gun to my head, I had to pick. I'm going to stay with that. I don't feel great. I may end up changing my mind by this weekend, because I will have a ticket on this game. Because I feel like I have to off principle, and I have a ticket for A&M to make the playoff. I don't feel great about it. If I end up changing my mind, so I should follow our Action Network account, because it will be posted on there as soon as I take the pick. But they've been able to run the ball really well. And they've been throwing the ball around. Kyron Lacy, next man up, wide receiver, has been absolutely balling out. So if they can get the run game going for LSU, I think they have a really good chance. And Connor Wegman's got to protect the ball. If he turns it over at all, this game's over. So as of right now, I'm going to lean A&M at home. Don't feel great about it, though. Jose, you playing anything?
Yeah, I'm taking LSU.
Are you?
Plus 2.5, plus 3, whatever number you can get, I guess. I think we're kind of overhyping A&M just off that win against Missouri when they blew them out a few weeks ago.
I don't count that win as good at all. Missouri's trash.
No, it's not. But I mean that win factors into this number right here. You're right. Missouri's not very good. I talked in length for weeks about how Missouri was like a ticking time bomb. They were very lucky or very fortunate to be in the situation they were in, not only this season, but last season too. And it all kind of built up to that game and just blew up. You know what I mean? So I think we push that game to the side and take a look at the other games A&M played, and it's really not all that impressive. You talked about Mississippi State last week, Tyler. Yeah, Weigman did not play well. 15 of 25, 2 picks. Probably could have had a few more, to be honest with you. I think he had like 4 turnover-worthy plays in that game. So, yeah, really worrying. The most worrying stat is that Mississippi State has one of the worst pass defenses in the country. Like, they're really bad. So the fact they were able to give Weigman fits and trouble, that's really concerning, you know? Also, I just want to point out, he only rushed the ball twice, Connor Weigman did. Now, I know it's Mississippi State. I know they probably don't have to show off the entire playbook, but still, 2 rushes is not a lot. And that's kind of why we were higher on A&M as the season went on, because Weigman was showing a willingness to run the ball. That's a big part of Colin Klein's offense. If he's not going to run the ball, that takes away, a massive chunk of the playbook. So kind of concerning. I really want to see how he performs in this game. Is he going to run the ball? Is he not? Is he going to throw it at a higher level? We talked about A&M's receivers at length. I don't really feel anyone's really stepped up and taken that role that Evan Stewart left or filled that void. So I just have a lot of concerns with that offense. Now, defensively, they're great. We know their offensive line is amazing. Their pass rush is really, really good, but they can be exploited against the run. And I talked about earlier how LSU has found a newfound commitment to the run game. Caden Durham seems like the running back they've kind of settled on. They lost to USC week 1, and that was the only loss of the season. That was mainly because they didn't have a run game that they could rely on, right? They were still trying to rotate backs. I think they had a running back in the game, John Emery, who kind of stood out that he tore his ACL in the third quarter. So, if they're going to utilize the run game more, I think that's bodes well for their season. And LSU, I mean, they're coming off some pretty big wins, right? At Arkansas, where everybody thought they would slip up. That was a really impressive win to me. I know Arkansas is not the best team in the country or even really all that good. But still, that was a game that a lot of people thought LSU would slip up. They didn't. They played really, really well. Obviously, a massive win against Ole Miss that kind of propelled their season and put them into the spotlight. Yeah, I mean, LSU, the defense is not all that. But again, too many question marks with A&M's offense for me to feel like they can take advantage of it. So I'll take the 2.5, 3, whatever you can get with LSU. Haven't actually bet it yet, but I will. And if it gets to 3, I absolutely will have to bet LSU in this game. And yeah, I think this team has a real future in regards to the CFP. So yeah, I'll take LSU getting 3 points.
John, you playing anything?
I like LSU here as well. I think they're just short and sweet. I think they're the more complete team offensively, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense is playing well. I have questions with Weigman and all that, so I do like LSU here a lot. I think they're the more complete team.
Yeah, the only thing, I don't know. I may end up changing my mind. LSU haven't played well on the road other than Arkansas so far this year. So that may be a factor, but they're also a different ball club now than they were when they played those games. So another big game this weekend. And never did I think that this would be a good game, but Notre Dame Navy. This line opened up at 13.5, is now at 13 even. Over under for this game sitting at 51, and the Navy money line is plus 395 for them to win this game. Look, they've got a legit chance to win this game. And I know we're all pretty high on Navy. John, I know you're high on Navy. I think you've already placed a bet, have a ticket on this game. So what are you playing in this game, and what do you expect from here?
Brian, I hope you're in the chat for this one. I love you, brother. But I can't.
Would be magic finna go through it, bro.
I can't abandon my midshipman now of Navy. Listen, Notre Dame Navy, they deserve the ABC treatment this week, right? Undefeated Navy team playing a 1-loss Notre Dame team, looking to get into the CFP. Listen, this is big for Notre Dame because Navy after this they have a realistic chance to go undefeated, right? And Notre Dame could have this on their record. I think it's going to be an outstanding game. And I want to give credit to Brian Newberry, right, for kind of reviving this Navy program and the acquisition of offensive coordinator Drew Cronick. This is one of the most fun offenses to watch. They're innovative. I, honest to God, never know if they're running a triple option play, a speed option, whatever, or he's gonna throw a streak to his fullback down the field or one of his receivers. It's insane. They rank 4th in rushing yards per game this year. And more than that, they got Blake Horvath at quarterback. And he's putting himself in that All-American, All-American, even Heisman contender race. I don't think he'll win it, but he's definitely pushing himself up there. And one thing to talk about too is this Navy offensive line. They only allow 0.5 sacks per game. They have talented weapons on the outside to throw to. They have good running backs. They have a great quarterback. They're averaging 44 points a game. And on the defensive side of the ball, their coach, Brian Newberry, used to be a former defensive coordinator. They are second in the nation for turnover margin, averaging plus 2.0 turnovers a game. They rank top 50 nationally for sacks and TFL. And there's just overall, they're a good team. Now, listen, we've talked about it before. Notre Dame's defense, it's no slouch, right? They're really good, even with the loss of Benjamin Morrison at corner. This team is really good. I do worry about Riley Leonard at quarterback. I know he's kind of stepped it. I've been talking with Brian, and he has stepped it up a little bit here. I've already taken Navy plus 13.5. I love Navy. I won't abandon them here. I think they cover this fairly easy. I have this game pretty close. I think Navy's has a legit chance to win this game. I do think they're being somewhat doubted here. So 13.5 is a lot. I want to say Navy 31, Notre Dame 30. I think it's going to be something really close. Regardless, I do think Navy is live here. I think they could definitely pull this out. I love Navy. They need this one in order to go play Army and get in the CFP. So give me Navy here.
Oh boy, be Magic in shambles right now for the Notre Dame Irish, son. Jose, I feel like we got to bet this game on principle. So, what if you were to play something? What are you gonna play?
Yeah, if I was gonna play something, I'd play Navy, 12.5 money line, either one. Yeah, John kind of touched on it. No Benjamin Morrison. I think the backup corner is also out for Notre Dame. Now, normally you wouldn't think that would matter against a Navy service academy, but yeah, Blake Horvath can throw the ball really well this season, guys. They do rely on the passing game quite a bit. I want to say he's fourth in the nation in QBR. Now, obviously, he doesn't have as many attempts as some of the other guys out there, but still, he's passing it at a high level, very consistent. So that's big for Notre Dame to have their top two corners out. Yeah, getting double digits with a service academy has been profitable, really profitable over the last, decade or so, 20 years maybe. This should be an amazing game to watch. I agree with John. If I was going to play a side here, I'd play Navy. Money line, I think, is very, very live. When people discuss the CFP at this point, like everyone always kind of leaves Notre Dame out. Like everyone assumes they're going to drop a game somewhere. I mean, it very well could be here. This is going to be a massive step up in competition for them. I know Riley Leonard has gotten better, but I wouldn't say I trust him yet, especially not on the road. So yeah, if I'm going to play something here, it's Navy or nothing.
Whole world's gonna be going for Navy this weekend, and I would have to join you 1,000%. I think the good thing with Navy too is I think they disguise pretty well when they're going to throw the ball. Like
they do.
Like every play is you have to prepare for them to run the ball down your throat, and they don't really give it away.
And half the time when they are doing it too, it's like, I mean, the dude is just open by a mile.
Yeah.
Like, because they just hadn't.
You have to respect the run.
They're so committed to a fullback, a halfback, or even Horvat running the ball. They're just wide open. Yeah, 73% of bets are money line bets are on Notre Dame. Navy's getting 70% of the spread bets. So. The over is at over 51 is at 70% as well over on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's also part of not all.
We even said that Navy. I said Navy. They're putting up 40 points a game. Now, will they put up 40 against Notre Dame? Doubtful. But they could do it. I mean, this team is legit on the offensive side of the ball, and their defense will keep them in the game, especially because like Jose said, I don't trust Riley Leonard. I think he's very conservative and timid, and I think that he might make some mistakes here. So
Yeah, going back to the percentage of bets, that was also a small reasoning for me in the LSU A&M game because 80% of the bets are on LSU this weekend. Um, so I don't know. Take it as you will with that little nugget there. But all right. Missouri goes to Bama this weekend. Now, before the season, I told you, yeah, this is going to be fire. Now, no, this game's going to be trash. The line I saw that opened up at was 8.5. I'm assuming that's a summer line because there's no way that's right. So what it opened up as of Sunday, I don't know, but it's sitting at 17 even right now. The over under for this game is 50.5, and the Missouri money line is sitting at 520. Look, there's just no chance. Missouri is shit. Like
this line did move a lot because Cook's out.
Is that confirmed?
I saw something today that he wasn't playing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, especially if this shit's cooked. I mean, Missouri stinks with them in.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's terrible. You're not going to ever catch me laying this number with anybody, especially in any game. I don't like touching the big numbers. You give me Bama at home, sure. If I had to take one, give me Bama. Missouri stinks. Their defense stinks. Their offense stinks. Missouri should have multiple losses right now. Outside of A&M, they should have lost to Vandy. They should have lost to Boston College.
Lost to Auburn last week.
Lost to Auburn last week. They're terrible football team. Yeah, give me Bama. Y'all want to say anything on this one?
On three was the reporting, and they're obviously trustworthy. They said that he is doubtful for the game.
I actually do have a bet on this game.
Are you taking Missouri?
No, I'm taking the under.
Yeah,
I'm taking the under because I don't think either of these offenses are any good. But I think both defenses are actually pretty good. We talked about a few weeks ago how coming to the season, we thought Missouri's offense was going to be amazing, right? They had so many key players. Brady Cook, who, by the way, sucks. I don't really care if he's playing or not.
Yeah.
Luther.
It may be better for them. Maybe a backup quarterback situation.
No. Because I watched. He didn't play for majority of that game last week against Auburn, and Drew Pine came in. I don't know if you guys remember Drew Pine from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I think it was at ASU last year too. He was horrible, really, really bad. And then Brady Cook came back in with one leg and led a game-winning drive against an Auburn team that's really, really bad also. Whatever. Yeah, their offense is really bad. Luther Burden, someone that we all hyped up this offseason. Where is he? He hasn't made any, key plays this season. Not really.
Theo Weiss either.
Yeah, Theo Weiss. I think it's the leading receiver on this team. But even him, we hyped up this offense so much, they really just disappointed us. Their defense, though, has been really, really good. They're top 25 in Havoc, top 25 in S&P Plus. Defensive line's been playing great. We kind of noted that coming to the season, how we weren't convinced on their defense, but their defensive line we thought had potential. Well, they're living up to that potential right now. And what have we seen Bama struggle with this season, guys?
The trenches.
Defensive lines. Tennessee ate them alive. Now, I'm not saying Missouri's defensive line is as good as Tennessee's. It's not, but still, it's on. They're in the realm of in terms of talent. South Carolina's defensive line we saw give Alabama fits. So if Missouri's defensive line can play the way I think they can, I really feel like they should be able to hang in this game, at least for a while, and keep this a low-scoring game. I can't advocate for the 17 points because, again, I know how bad Drew Pine is. I know how disappointed this offense has been. But if you want to look at it from a total perspective, I think the under 57, or I'm not sure what it's currently at. Right now,
50.5.
Okay, well, that dropped over a touchdown. I don't like it as much. But even
it's still not bad.
Yeah, it's still not bad because these offenses are not good. Drew Pine is not good. Luther Burden, where is he? Missing in action. And then we didn't even talk about Jalen Milroe. He sucks too. He can't throw unless it's a deep ball. He cannot do it. Now, sure, he'll hit Ryan Williams a few times in this game. It is what it is. But anything underneath, he's not going to hit it. The running game for Bama, I thought's been fine, but it hasn't been as explosive as we normally as we expect Bama's running game to be. I know Milroe utilizes his legs a lot, but those are more on design runs. He's not really taking off and running when a throw's not there. And I know typically you don't want a quarterback to do that. You want him to sit there and read his progressions. But in the college game, it's a different animal than what you would get taught in the NFL. And Milroe's legs are a massive part of his game. He's just not utilizing them to the full extent, in my opinion. So, yeah, I have to go under here, guys. Again, just because of how bad these offenses are and how good Missouri's defensive line is. I think they can wreak some havoc here and potentially make some third and longs. Again, no play from the side. I mean, in theory, like Missouri's wide receivers should match up well with Bama's secondary. We noted how that's probably their biggest weakness on the defensive side of the ball is their DBs. But I mean, with Drew Pine throwing it to them, I just don't think they're going to have this. I don't think he has the skill set to take advantage of what Missouri's strengths should be, which should be Luther Burden and Theo Weiss. So I'll go under 50.5 here. I had no idea Brady Kick was out. I thought he was going to play this week. So now that he's out, I guess I like it a little more, but you're losing about a touchdown of what it opened at in terms of the total. So here's what it is. 50.5 though is not bad. I'd probably play that if anything.
Yeah. John, you playing anything?
I have nothing to say about either one of these teams.
Trash. Yeah, trash. All right, let's go to Illinois. Illinois goes to Oregon. This line opened up as Oregon as 22.5-point favorites. It's come down a little bit. It's now at flat 21 on BetOnline as of a couple hours ago. The over-under for this game is at 54.5, and Illinois is at plus 900 money line odds to win this game. John, why don't you break down this game? What do you expect to happen out of this game? And do you think Illinois has a chance at all?
What's the spread again?
It's sitting at 21 even right now.
21.
Yeah, it opened at 22.5, and when I made my notes and stuff a couple hours ago, it was 21. Let me pull it up right now to see if it's changed since. No, it's still sitting at 21. Even odds both ways, minus 110 both ways. So still sitting at 21 even.
Illinois will cover this game. I know I have an Oregon national championship ticket. I think Oregon's a great team. I don't think they care about this game. However, Illinois, they do care. This is a big game for them, right? If they pull this out, they have a chance to go to the Big Ten championship game.
A legit chance.
Like they all they have left is Northwestern, Rutgers, Michigan State, and Minnesota. That's it. This is it for them. If they can pull this out, they have a legitimate chance to go to the Big Ten championship game. So this is huge for them. They're prepared. They're going to be prepared. They have a really good defense. Balima's brought a really good defense this year. Altmaier hasn't been too bad, but Oregon's the better team on paper, offensively, defensively. Oregon, I think that they will win this game. And I know this. I know the spread is 21, and I know that it's really not a bold thing to say. Oh yeah, Oregon's going to win this game, but they are going to win this game. However, Illinois will cover this game. This is a big game for them. They're going to give it everything they got because this is it. If they can win this, they're into the. They're probably going to be in the Big Ten championship game. But regardless, I think, Illinois, they will lack the offensive firepower to keep up with Oregon. I know I've kind of used that tactic betting a lot this year. I do think Illinois will get to the point where they're playing from behind. They're trying to keep up. They make some mistakes. Oregon wins the game by like 20 points or something. So one thing with Oregon is they have been playing better. The offensive line's been playing better. The offense as a whole has been playing better. Dylan Gabriel, he's played good all year, but he has made some silly mistakes here and there. And I think that he'll do it again this game. I think that, they don't care, and they're going to make some silly mistakes. But regardless of that, I think Oregon will win comfortably. There's too much firepower on Oregon's offense. Defense is too good. Illinois will hang for a while, but Oregon will pull away. So give me Oregon. I would say I want to say like
Oregon. Are you saying are you backing Oregon or Illinois?
No, Oregon to win. Illinois will cover. Okay. I would say 38-21, something like that is where I'm at with this game. Oregon wins by about 17.
Yeah, this could be another scenario of like what we talked about with Oregon, of looking like they may kind of like we're holding something back, waiting for that Ohio State game. I could definitely see another scenario like that happening. 66% of the bets are coming in on Illinois as of this moment in time. So not too far in the public favor there, but they are getting some money coming in on them. So Jose, you playing this game?
I am, and respectfully, I couldn't disagree more, guys. I think Oregon steamrolls this team. I don't think Illinois is as good as their schedule as their record shows. I know they beat the shit out of Michigan last week, but you have to keep in mind Michigan has absolutely no offense to speak of whatsoever, and they made the wrong call going with Jack Tuttle instead of Alex Orji. Let's not forget the week before that, guys, they gave up 49 points to Purdue in a game they had to pull out. I believe it was in double overtime. I don't know which overtime. I don't know which one it ended in, but they were really struggling with that Purdue team, a Purdue team that really, really sucks. Now, I agree. Illinois' offense probably has the capability to keep up in this game. Their two receivers, Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant, ridiculously talented. Luke Altmaier is playing at a really high level. But when they play against teams at a higher, like a higher upper echelon or a higher tier, they struggle. I saw them go to Penn State. I know the final score was like 21-7. It should have been a lot worse. They were really, really fortunate to not get blown out in that game. The success rate that Penn State was running at in that game was really, really high. Again, credit to Illinois for hanging in there. And again, they have some offensive firepower. But from what I took away from that game was that, damn, like Penn State is clearly the better team here, and Illinois is kind of just lucky to be hanging around. I know some people are still kind of hesitant on Oregon just because of how they looked at the beginning of the season. I know the Ohio State game kind of wiped it all away. But it was fair to say Oregon was holding stuff back for that Ohio State game, right? Like they weren't showing everything in their playbook. They were kind of wrapping it up early, like at halftime, but they were up by a sizable amount. They were kind of just closing it up and just running clock the second half. But if you look at Oregon's schedule, guys, I don't really think there's anybody on the schedule that they should be hiding stuff for. Like Michigan next week. Michigan's horrible. They don't have to hide anything for that game. Maryland, they get Maryland at home. That should be an easy win. At Wisconsin, we know how Wisconsin's been this year. And then against Washington after a bye. This is the biggest game they have left in their schedule. It's a ranked opponent as well. So if they have anything in their playbook that they want to show, they want to work on, they want to see it in action, I would imagine it's this game, right? Like, are they going to hide anything for Wisconsin in a few weeks? I don't think so. Are they going to hide something for Maryland? I don't think so. So, I know some people are hesitant just based on how Oregon looked beginning of the season. But in this scenario right here, this is like a marquee matchup for them. They might as well show what they have, right? This is the biggest game left on their schedule. Obviously before the Big Ten championship game if they get there. So, yeah, I don't like laying big numbers, but I do think Oregon is significantly better than Illinois. Will I actually bet it? I'm not sure because I do respect the Illinois receiving room and Luke Altmaier to a certain extent. But I go back to that game against Purdue, how bad they struggled, and I go back against Penn State and just remember how fortunate they were to not get blown out in that match. So, yeah, I lean Ducks here, guys. I probably will end up betting this one at some point. If it gets lower than 21, then, yeah, I probably for sure will. But yeah, I think this is a marquee matchup for them, and if they're going to show something if they want to work on stuff or they want to see some stuff in action, it might as well be in this game because this is the biggest game they got left, at least on paper.
I do agree with that. Oregon at this point, I think that after this game, they're looking towards the Big Ten championship. You know what I mean? They're looking for Ohio State or Penn State, whichever one's going to be there. So I do agree with that for sure. Another thing that you kind of touched on too is Oregon this year. They've kind of let up at half sometimes. I could see that being a possibility as well. And Illinois maybe backdooring or something.
Yeah.
But regardless, either way, my Oregon national championship future is smiling. And I can't wait for the playoffs.
That Michigan State game they played, I mean, they should have blew Michigan State out the water, dude.
Yeah.
But they wrapped it up at halftime and
they did.
Held it. I just personally believe that they were holding stuff back because they had Ohio State in the coming weeks. I mean, in this game right here, they don't have anything coming up. They might as well show it. They might as well work on whatever they want to work on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say if Illinois covers this game, it's not going to be from the fact of Oregon hiding anything. It's going to be of
you think they backdoor.
Hey, we got this shit covered. We did what we needed to do. We handled our business. Yeah, let's get out of here healthy and move on to the next week. If Illinois covers, I think that's going to be more the scenario than them really at least hiding something from somebody else down the line. I think it's going to be, hey, let's get in, get this shit done. Let's stay healthy, move on to the next week. I could see that scenario. But yeah, if Illinois was to cover, I think it would be about that type of thing. Because honestly, even in the Penn State game, I think that was also kind of the deal, against Illinois.
They got after this they got Michigan, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Washington.
Yeah,
And
let's stay healthy.
Two of those games are in Eugene. So,
yeah. Let's obviously get the dub. Don't do anything stupid.
They'll be double-digit favorites in all those games.
Every game. Get in, get out, handle our business, stay healthy, move on to the next. So if Illinois covers, it will be that sort of situation, not because of anything Illinois did per se.
I just hope Oregon gets the bye.
Well, yeah, they have to win.
Well, I mean,
yeah, that is true.
They got to win the Big 10 championship
to get the bye.
They'll have to beat Penn State in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah. If Penn State beats Ohio State, they will.
Like I said, they'll have to beat Penn State.
I like that. I like that matchup better for Oregon, though. In my personal opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I like the Oregon matchup better against Penn State.
It would be tough on Oregon to beat Ohio State a second time. And on a neutral site. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going for Penn State hard in that game. Hopefully, Drew Allar doesn't absolutely screw the pooch and cost us some money like he did last year in that game.
I'll be on Penn State for the Ohio State game.
Penn State as well.
I'll be on Penn State.
I'll be on Penn State,
and we were last year and ate shit over it.
That's the only game on their schedule that actually matters for Penn State. Like we all singled out the Penn State.
It'll be a whiteout. It'll be wild.
And the Michigan game. But Michigan sucks. The Ohio State game is the only game on Penn State's schedule they have to get by.
Yeah.
And
if they lose that game, they'll probably still make the CFP.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we all put them as one of our best bets, futures wise, was Penn State to make playoff. On action. So yeah, I think even if they lose, they still can. Matt says Ohio State versus Nebraska 25.5. Y'all talk about that already. No, ass whooping. Nebraska's trash. It was a good start. I think they have a lot to look forward to, but no, not put. Also, they may cover that.
Raiola will only get better.
Yeah.
He's
a true fan. I think he had way too much hype on a true.
He can't get any worse than what he looked like last week. I'll tell you.
Yeah, that was bad. That was an ass whooping last week, son.
Yeah.
And that's why it's always I guess in a way, a safe bet to take Indiana because we've talked about it multiple times. If they have a chance to go score, they're going to go do it. It don't matter how much they're up. They're going to go do it.
Which game is on deck?
Speaking of, Washington travels to Indiana. Indiana opened up as a 7-point favorite. It's only dropped half point. It's at 6.5. The over under for this game is 53 in the money line for Washington. It's sitting at plus 195. No Curtis Rourke though. So how much of a factor does that play for this team? I know everywhere else firing all cylinders, but Curtis Rourke's an important piece. So does Washington cover because of that? Jose, we'll let you jump in first. What are you playing in this game?
Well, before the season started, we all were pretty high on Indiana, right? And I kind of was driving the ship. But as the season's gone on, John and I think you too, Tyler, have looked at different games to kind of fade Indiana. We're trying to bet against them now. We're trying to see, okay, where's the market too high on them at? And I'm tired of doing that. So I'm going to take Indiana here, -7, because they just keep covering. They keep winning. No Rourke is huge for Indiana, right? He's potential All-America. A sneaky Heisman candidate, at least he was for a while. So that's going to hurt. But, for what it's worth, Taven Jackson, the backup, came in, and he played really, really well last week against Nebraska. Went 7 of 8, 90 yards, 2 TDs. To be honest with you, in a weird way, I don't think it's going to matter all that much, whether it's Rourke or Jackson. I'm not trying to discredit Rourke here, but the offense itself is like a well-oiled machine, right? And they're not too reliant on the pass game. It's important, but it's not everything. They're really explosive with the run game. Justice Ellison, Tyson Lawton, even Taven Jackson can run the ball. They're all capable. They're all skilled. Can all pound the rock. Again, it's more of the system than it is the players, in my opinion. No disrespect to Rourke, but I do expect Indiana to come out here and look pretty similar to what they look like the entire season. And if they do, that kind of just proves my point that it's more about the system, the personnel, than it is the actual player itself. But yeah, we talked about how the run game has been explosive for Indiana. That's pretty important because that's Washington's biggest weakness on defense. They've given up at least 180 yards the last 3 games against Rutgers, Michigan, and Iowa. What's important about that? Well, all 3 of those offense can't throw for shit. Kalik Manis at Rutgers is horrible. Whichever Michigan quarterback they're trotting out there is horrible. Cade McNamara, who also went to Michigan,
absolute trash,
is horrible. So for all 3 of those teams, right, you could just key in on the run. That's all you have to focus on. You don't have to worry about the pass. And all the receivers on those teams suck. But despite that, despite knowing that you have to focus on the run game, they still gave up almost 200 yards per game in each of those games. Well, now you can't just focus on the run game because Indiana can throw the ball and they have capable wide receivers. They have legitimate Big Ten wide receivers. So what's Washington going to do on defense? If you can't stop the run against teams where you know they're only going to run the ball, what are you going to do when you're playing against an offense that can run it and throw it at a high level? So I know Washington's getting some love in the market. Some people are betting Washington. I want to say I got up to 7. It's down to 6.5 now. I don't really see why. They've shown me nothing on defense to show me they can stop Indiana's offense. They've kind of lucked out their last 3 games playing against Rutgers, Michigan, and Iowa. And by the way, they lost 2 of those games. And they got blown out against Iowa, a team that can't throw it at all.
Yeah, Iowa ran it right down their throat. Wasn't nothing negative about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't really see how Washington keeps up here. I'm a fan of Will Rogers. I like their offense, but defensively, too many problems. Also want to point out their kicking game for Washington is absolutely horrible.
It's lost some games. Trash.
Yeah, Grady Gross has lost about 3 games by himself for Washington, which is so weird because last year he was so reliable when they made, obviously, the national championship game. So, yeah, big special team advantage for Indiana just by liberty of they don't have Grady Gross on their team. So I'll take Indiana dropping the 6.5, 7. Really, it doesn't really matter to me. Like I said, I think this offense is a well-oiled machine, and I'm curious to see what Washington does in this game where they can't just focus on the run. Because even when they did just focus on the run, they couldn't stop it. So yeah, give me the Hoosiers here to keep the train rolling.
John, you playing anything?
I think you covered it well. Taven Jackson, he's still dangerous. He has a starting experience. But the main thing for Indiana is it's a well-oiled machine. Cinetti's done a hell of a job with that team offensively and defensively. And I think if even if Jackson has any trouble, the run game and the defense will step up and, kind of take care of it. I like Indiana here. I think they win by around 10. I have it closer to 10. So.
Yeah. All right. So let's go through some bets that we're going to take for this weekend. Let's do the dog parlay of the week, and then we'll wrap this thing up. And we're going to introduce a new show that my boy John will be doing tomorrow on YouTube here, and then we'll get to that at the end of the episode as well. So best bets, Jose, we'll start with you. As of right now, what are you taking? And if there's other games you're looking at, what are you looking at to take this weekend?
My favorite bet this weekend, by far, is UCF money line, whatever it is, minus 110, 120 against BYU in Orlando. BYU's frauds. I've been fading them all season. They've been costing me money. I'm going to do it again and hope this time it finally hits. I just wanted to see if UCF was still actually playing hard because half their team went in the portal. I think KJ Jefferson got hurt or he left also. But they probably should have won last week against Iowa State. John Cyclones, they probably should have pulled that one out. Obviously, they didn't. But still, like, that just showed to me that team is still fighting. They're still playing hard. And they're still very talented. Like, RJ Harvey's still probably the best running back, at least one of the best running backs in the Big 12. So as long as they're playing very hard, I think they're better than BYU. I know BYU's getting a lot of love, but they're kind of their record is very, very, flawed. So I like UCF a lot in this week. This is probably my biggest bet of the week. I like Boise against UNLV. I don't feel comfortable laying the 3. I'm really hoping UNLV jumps out to like a 7-0 lead, 10-0 lead, and I can get Boise live plus money or better. But if for some reason it drops below 3 points, I'll probably end up taking Boise State. And then I like Oregon minus 21 against Illinois. I very seldomly take big favorites, but in this scenario, I think it matches up too well for them. Again, I'm just more concerned with Illinois, just given how their defense looked against Purdue. I don't want to over exaggerate their win last week against a Michigan team that can't do anything on offense. So those are my 3 plays for now, at least 2 for sure. And then I'm going to try and get Boise live at plus money or better if possible. But maybe before kick, if we're all on Boise State, I'll throw some money on them as well.
John, what are you taking this weekend?
I've already said I'm on Navy. I got it at 13.5. I'll probably have some on the money line. Listen, I'm not going to abandon them now. The team's legit, offense and defense. They're hard to predict. Navy will be in this game till the very end, in my opinion. So 13.5 is just way too much. So give me Navy. I'm also on, speaking of Penn State, I am on Penn State playing Wisconsin this week. I just think Penn State overall is the better team. The last three, Wisconsin's kind of got some love because the last 3 weeks they beat Northwestern, Purdue, and Rutgers. Three pretty awful teams. I think Penn State's defense might shut them out. Might shut Wisconsin's offense out here. To be honest, so give me Penn State minus 6.5. I think that they won't like. I don't think they're going to put up like 40 or something, but I have this like Penn State 24-0 or something. Go get ready for Ohio State. So I think Penn State might pitch a shutout on defense here. And then lastly, everyone's on them, but that's kind of normal every week. But I got Colorado at -4. It's up to -5.5 now. The big thing for me here is Travis Hunter did get to rest some last game, and so that's big for them. Colorado, they're kind of firing on all cylinders, it seems like, other than that one loss to Kansas State, which is a game I thought they were going to win. So, and Cincinnati, they really struggle against the pass more than anything. And Colorado's good at passing the ball. They don't run the ball much. They just sling it around the field. So, and they got pretty good receivers all around. I think Colorado is going to put up a pretty high number here, cover this, and I just don't think Cincinnati will be able to keep up as a whole. I think their record is kind of fraudulent as well, kind of what Jose was talking about with BYU. I think Cincinnati's record is fraudulent at 5-2. So give me Colorado here, keep themselves in the Big 12, title race here to get into the championship game at -4. I think 4 is way too low.
I think they control their own destiny to make the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah.
Like if they win out, they're gonna get in.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I think this team is more talented than I personally gave them credit for at the beginning of the year. Knew they were talented on the offensive side of the ball, right? But I was worried about the line, and I was worried about the defense. Well, they've kind of stepped up, and they've been playing well. Travis has got some rest. Last game I think he only played like 40 snaps last game. He rested a lot of the second half. So, yeah, I like Colorado a lot this week. I think they handle business despite a lot of people being on them.
Yeah, I'll be looking at some games this weekend. The only bet I have placed at this moment is Syracuse +6 against Pitt. I think Pitt is also in that same BYU category of getting a lot of love and is kind of overhyped. I think 6 is too many. Do I think they could win this game? Absolutely. I think they win this game? Probably, but I don't think it's by a touchdown or more. I see this more as kind of a field goal game, 3, 4, 5 points, whatever, cover the 6. So that's the only thing I've taken as of right now. I will also be on Navy. Got to play that game. And then there'll be some other games I'll be looking at that I'm going to have to play as well, especially the LSU A&M game. I haven't taken anything as of now, but off principle, I got to take something. So I will be taking a play for that. For our underdog money line parlay of the week. Did we hit last week?
No.
On our parlay? No, I know we did the week before.
I know mine lost. I can't remember.
Mine lost. I think we got swept in the opposite way.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did. We hit 2 weeks ago, and then we
hit 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's bad. So we're due. We're due. Our parlay of the week is Stanford beating Wake Forest. My boy John has Navy, the midshipmen, upsetting Notre Dame this weekend. And I have Texas Tech beating TCU. I think they're close, like 10-point dogs in that game. So maybe they may be live in that game. Sprinkle a little bit on that. So that comes out to 28-1 odds, which I think is our biggest odds today so far. Yeah,
$10 wins you $280.
Yeah, $10 wins you $280, and so worth a little sprinkle there. Also want to say tomorrow night, my boy Big John is going to be doing another live show. We're excited for that. I'll be sitting in with him on that show. Jose will probably be sitting in as well. He's going to start the college basketball talk tomorrow night. We're going to keep this thing rolling throughout college basketball as well. We haven't done a whole lot of NFL, but I'm sure once it comes to playoff time, around the Super Bowls, whatever, once college is done, we'll get into a little NFL as well. But we will be doing some college basketball. My boy John is going to go live tomorrow night. I know he's been working on it for the past week or so, getting everything ready to go. He has already taken it seems like a billion futures. I feel like every other day I get a notification from Action on my phone of him taking another bet, another future.
I'm still waiting on some more conference odds to drop on DraftKings, so we'll see. But yeah, tomorrow's gonna be fun. College basketball is my passion. A lot of you know this. I'm gonna break down some bets I've already placed, and then I'll break down any teams you guys want me to in the chat. Mississippi Valley State, I'll do it. Just let me break whatever you want me to break down. I'll break it down for you. It'll be a little bit of a longer stream, and we'll have some fun. Just chit chat about some college basketball, some conferences, some teams I really like to make the tournament this year, win their conference, some sleeper teams. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that will be the first show tomorrow night. I don't know if that will be a weekly
and
thing.
I will probably start that at 8:30 tomorrow night.
Yeah, 8:30 Central.
On my personal YouTube. But I'll link it in the Boulevard Twitter, and Tyler will share it out and everything. So
yeah, is that gonna be 8:30 Central or Eastern?
Eastern, 8:30 Eastern.
Okay, 8:30 Eastern time.
Yeah,
so 7:30 Central.
I'll start it up. Yep, and I'll have I'll be going through Torvik. I'll be going through Haslametrics. I'll be going through Kim Palm, all that for you. So if you want to see it, let me know. I'll break it down. There's a method to the madness in college basketball, and I've been somewhat successful. So we'll have a lot of fun tomorrow.
So I will post that link as well. That will be posted on our Twitter, which is at the Boulevard Pod. Mm-hmm. Everything as far as shows will still be posted on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. I believe we're even going to get in the TikTok game. We may be a little late, but I do believe that we're going to get in the TikTok game. That has not been created yet, but whenever it is, we will get it posted to Twitter and get that going. So, but going forward, we will be doing the live shows like this. We will try and get the camera situation figured out for next week. Not really sure what's going on with the camera deal, but we will get it figured out. We do appreciate everybody in the chat who joined us tonight for our first ever live go at this. We appreciate y'all joining in and spending y'all's Wednesday night with us. We love doing this. Whenever we started doing this, it's just three buds talking, hanging out, just doing it for fun. We didn't record or anything last year, but we were getting together weeknights, going through some games, talking shop, talking ball, and that's ultimately what we're here to do, man. We're just here to hang out, here to talk some ball, hopefully give out some winners, everybody win some money, and we have a good time doing it. So go give us a follow on Action Network at the Boulevard or _Boulevard. Go give us a follow on Twitter, which is at the Boulevard Pod. If you wouldn't mind to like and subscribe on these live streams here on YouTube, that really helps us out. Same as Spotify. If you wouldn't mind to go give us a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. Helps the algorithm thing out. How it works, don't know. It's over my head, but I know it works. So if you wouldn't mind to go do that and help us out, if you like what you see, man, we greatly appreciate it. We thank y'all for joining us tonight. Like I said, John will be here tomorrow. I'll be sitting in with him. And Jose probably will as well tomorrow night for college basketball. So if you have any interest in college basketball, join us tomorrow night. We got some fire college football games on tomorrow. So we'll be doing that as well. We appreciate y'all joining us tonight. We'll be back next week for another live show. Invite everybody you want to, man. We're just going to be hanging out, talking shop, watching some football, talking college football, man. So we appreciate it. We thank y'all, and we'll be back next week. Hey, oh yeah.
That was fun.
That was dope. I like we actually